Okay, so while today's blog is not exactly ballet, and I know everybody's been on sort of a ballet kick, and I apologize. I was trying to kind of look at things in a sequential pattern, and it just so happened that when I got to New York in 1976, when I was 15, there just happened to be the bicentennial. And my uncle was living in New York, and he was awesome. He wanted to go to see the Operation Sail, the big tall ships that were coming in, and then also go to Battery Park for that day for the fireworks. And so it was going to be exciting, a celebration to be remembered. Everyone wanted to be in New York City on that day. Even President Gerald Ford was in New York on that day watching the ships come in. My uncle had connections to get us over to the docks in the New York harbor to see the tall ships. That vantage point was perfect, and the day began bright, sunny, and clear. There were going to be hundreds of them sailing into the harbor and going up the Hudson River. I look at the pictures of myself on that day, and in my one-piece jumpsuit that kind of looked like a sailor's outfit, I realize how skinny I was at 15. The photos back then are terrible. They're really not very good. But I am on the dock and next to all the huge lifts that pull things off the boats. I remember that day, and I knew we were going to get to see some amazing tall and old ships from all over the world. The ships had to plan to arrive at the event on time, and I can't imagine the amount of coordination that needed to happen between the captains of the ships, the countries, the crews, the docking authorities, the tugboats, the police and fire departments to make that happen. And then, where to put all the boats. President Ford was going to be there, and all the entourage needed to protect him. I remember the boats spraying water in all directions, celebrating each ship as it arrived. I remember the music wafting in from the boats following along and from the celebrations happening on the docks. I remember the feeling that day. It was a much simpler time, a time with less upset and struggle, a more carefree attitude, a time when the major celebrations still felt like a town fair. New York was a very big town, but the friendliness and ease that we all shared with each other that day, I now long to feel again in our country. It seemed almost every country sent a ship to celebrate the ideals of the America that we were back then. It was an America that I believe is still in the hearts and souls of our people. On the dock, there were Nathan's hot dog stands, drinks, chips, hamburgers, ice cream, popcorn, all the goodies. Each dock had its own party going, and those with the connections got a front row seat to the event. There were ships with flags from everywhere, old tall ships, massive naval ships, and a ton of party people out on their personal boats to celebrate the ships arriving and to follow them in. Everyone was excited and happy. The energy was enthusiastic, and people there were smiles everywhere and enthusiasm with each ship coming in. From that celebration, we were eventually off to Battery Park to watch the fireworks around the Statue of Liberty. That was going to be so exciting. Problem was that everyone was going to want to be there. They anticipated having 2 million at the park itself that night, and millions would watch on television. The city had suggested to use the public transportation for very good reasons. Fortunately, there are multiple subway stops located near Battery Park. The number 4 and 5 stop at Bowling Green, the R train stops at Whitehall Street, and the number 1 stops at the South Ferry Station. We went to get on the trains, headed in that direction, only to have the driver tell us through the intercom that all trains were backed up and we could not stop at the stations. So we were going to have to walk through the tunnels to get to the stations close by and walk the rest of the way. Needless to say, that was an adventure, walking through the dark tunnels of the subways with all these people. But everyone was excited, and the streams of people willingly left the train, helping each other down, and walked together through the darkness to finally reach a station. From there, it was simple. You just followed the crowds. Everyone knew where they were going, but I was clueless. We come out and it is dark, about 9:15 p.m., and the streets are a jumble of souvenir sellers, food and drink sellers, bath balloons, and my favorite, neon necklaces that when you cracked them, they started to glow and emit light, all different colors. You could put them around your neck or wrists, and everyone was buying them. It was not in my budget, but I thought they were very cool. They were something that I had never seen before. We get to the beach just after the fireworks had begun. We could hear the booming in the distance and the sounds of millions oohing and awing. I had never seen so many bodies all crowded together in one spot. People were playing music, guitars, dancing around, twirls and swirls with like these little sticks that had ribbons on them. And after the fireworks, we made our way back to the trains. On the opposite corner was standing a person from Dallas that I had not seen in years. We stood in shock at seeing each other, exclaiming, "Is that really you?" And then we were hugging and laughing on the corner, marveling at the way the universe works and how two people who did not know the other was coming to the event could magically find the other among 2 million spectators at Battery Park. The universe works in mysterious ways. I think about that day and marvel at the fact that even though at that time in New York City, many things were very dangerous in certain parts of the city, you didn't walk through Central Park at night or at dusk or dawn, but that day, everyone behaved perfectly. And the police did not have any trouble at the park or the event with 2 million people crowded into a small space for the bicentennial. There were no fistfights, no pickpocketing, no crimes to speak of on that special day. Americans shared a perfect moment that fit the beautiful gifts of freedom that are a part of the American ideal. I hope in another 50 years, at our tricentennial, that it goes as smoothly. Thanks, everyone.